Hey everyone, this is Tree from treeoflogic.com. Welcome to my channel, Just Tree 411. I'm going to read the 23-page document that was leaked out revolving around Milo, exposing Elijah Schaffer, Sarah Stock, and many others. This paper was used in reference to his thread, so I'm going to read it to you now. My voice is going to be slightly sped up, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Hi Milo, I'm reaching out to share a personal account involving a public figure that I was directly exposed to through my proximity. I understand some aspects of this have been reported previously, but there are additional details I believe may be relevant. In 2021, there was an incident involving inappropriate physical contact with a colleague at a theater, which became public at the time. Separately, during my time around him, I became aware of multiple extramarital relationships involving individuals connected to his professional and political circle. I can explain the basis for this knowledge if you like. I also witnessed ongoing issues with alcohol use over an extended period. He frequently appeared intoxicated during workdays and professional travel. I'm aware that he has previously attended AA. I'm sharing this as firsthand observation, not as a diagnosis. I've included a short excerpt from a longer recording that relates to these issues. It's provided only to demonstrate relevance, not as a complete representation. I'm happy to explain the context or provide the full recording for independent review if you decide to pursue this. I'm sharing the existence of the recording for context. I'm not requesting or encouraging its publication, and I understand editorial decisions are yours. Finally, I have personal knowledge of verbal and emotional behavior towards his spouse that I found concerning. I'm being cautious here due to the sensitivity involved, but I can explain what I observed and why it affected me. I'm not seeking to influence whether or how this is reported. I want to share my experience and make the material available for your independent assessment. I understand if you decide not to pursue it. Some of this is easier to explain verbally than in writing. If you think it's worth discussing, I'm open to a call. And attached to this email is an MP3 recording. All right, it. This is what I know and believe to be true. I don't represent anyone but myself. The affairs. These have been nonstop. He's been traveling to El Salvador this last year, and when he's out there, he's getting hookers and escorts. He's been doing the same in Florida, too. Any woman that came to the studio he was hitting on, with all the female talent he bring around, it was his intention. This is going way back, but during that Blaze time, he slept with Isabella Moody. This happened at Amfest, same as Emily Saves America. I believe it was an affair, not just an ONS. Isabella eventually got with Josiah Moody, Elijah's producer, but he was enjoying the fact that Elijah was sleeping with Isabella. Apparently Josiah, likes swinging. Isabella basically all those guys at the Blaze, JohnDoyle included. One thing that I know for sure is that Elijah likes play. He talks about it when he's drunk. I've seen an electric dildo that belongs to him, not as a joke or anything, like something from his bedroom. And he talked about getting hookers/escorts to use their fingers when they would blow him. Excuse my language. Brittany Venti has also talked about his pegging fetish too. I've heard similar stories. For some reason, he tries to hide this vehemently with anyone outside his circle. Elijah is an alcoholic and was blackout drunk like 5 to 6 days a week when I was around him. This is a big thing. He organized the company around a schedule where he could get drunk 24/7 and party. When I say alcoholic, I mean it. Getting blackout drunk every time he drinks, puking every night. You can have conversations with him and he'll forget everything. He'd run his mouth and share all the secrets. Sure, it was hard to separate fact from fiction, but he often bragged about the affairs and other industry secrets, which I've since verified. He has dirt on a lot of other freaks in the industry, and that's probably why he survived this long. The drinking goes hand in hand with his affairs. He'll get blasted and then try to hit on anything that moves, taking his ring off when he goes out. His wife is trying to divorce him right now. No one knows this, and he is trying to hide it. She knows out about the affair and wants out. They have been sleeping in separate beds for over a year. For the last 6 months, he was constantly complaining about her not wanting to sleep with him. Who can blame her? I believe they have been living separately now for a couple of weeks. There has also been ongoing verbal abuse when he's drunk and angry, like in the recording, threatening to take the kids away and leave her without financial support if she leaves. Really ugly stuff. He's been so quiet lately because he's trying to figure out how to spin it for the public, hoping it would blow over. He has a blackmail folder on everyone he works with and his quote-unquote friends. So he'll try to implicate people in all the stuff that he does so that no one can talk. He records people and builds up evidence on them so that if they ever talk about him, he can hold that over them. Employees have caught him trying to record them on nights out. He also made everyone sign the most insane NDAs. They can't talk about him forever. A non-disparage that lasts forever. I have a copy of this contract. Basically, he will involve his circle in the sex, drugs, drinking, and then they are all held to silence. When people discover that it's not just a bit of fun, but actually deep addiction and evil, they realize they are trapped. This is why I believe no one has spoken out in any serious way. The company, Rift, has entirely fallen apart. Everyone has quit. He has been lying about the finances and the state of the company for months. Some people quit when he tried to force the NDA and others after N.Fuentes. None of the talent seemed to want anything to do with him. He was selling investors on all these shows that just didn't materialize and were never going to happen. Some talent were embarrassed by him and his drunken behavior, crashing out on Twitter every night, and the employees were angry with him for lying and overpromising. A total show. He also sold off pieces of the company at some totally overvalued figure, $5 million. I don't know how those investors will ever get their money back. And I don't know where that money is. No one knows except Elijah. And apparently he is broke, so... On top of that, he's a walk-in pharmacy. He's on all these peptides, TRT, uppers and downers, hair pills. That's known, but everyone suspects something more. I don't know if it's illicit or prescription or simply the combination that I mentioned. I don't know. His immediate family has cut him off entirely. The only person that still supports him is his dad. Brothers and sisters don't want anything to do with him because he's a major liability. I know of another story that implicates another conservative influencer, an affair, of course, which eclipses everything I've spoken about, but I'm not 100% just yet. But it's incredible. Of course, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Okay. I wanted to share a little more, and I've provided recordings which back up the story I'm about to tell you. Before I get into the affair, I want to talk briefly about Elijah's past. He has admitted to having a twink phase before he got married. I don't know how someone switches from twink to straight, but this is an era that he is very insecure and protective of, and that he's only admitted to a few very close quote-unquote friends. There are almost no details I could dig up. There was one rumor that mentioned he left the church, he was a youth pastor, because it was discovered he was sleeping with another man. This is probably the reason why he found and married a woman as quickly as possible when he entered conservative politics. There was another interesting detail which is hard to place. He apparently grew up with Benny Johnson. There was a time they went to the same church or youth group. I also heard that when Elijah was younger, he had sleepovers at Johnson's house, Calvary Chapel. Given there are gay rumors about both these individuals, I wonder about their shared history. Okay, let's talk about the affair. Elijah, Schaffer, and Sarah Stock were having an affair for about half a year. This was in 2025. This began in February and immediately after Sarah joined the company. Sarah says that they slept together in D.C. at CPAC for the very first time they met. She was very drunk. You can hear the rest in the recording below. That's Sarah's side of the story, which has a few holes. I've heard a little different, that the affair was a 5-month relationship where they saw each other and traveled numerous times together. There is public record of them traveling. She would come out to Florida a week at a time ever so often. They apparently confessed their love to each other and briefly considered starting a family together. Elijah considered, allegedly, leaving his wife and kids to be with her. I've also heard that Elijah was heartbroken when they broke it off. There were pregnancy scares. It ended when Sarah got engaged to her boyfriend, now husband. It would be good if this info above remains between us for now. I only provide that for context. Sarah didn't tell me this directly. Therefore, all I am only supposed to know is her side of the story. I don't want to implicate any other party in this. She recently got married and has just arrived back from the honeymoon. Her husband has met Elijah on multiple occasions. Elijah even took the couple to dinner once in LA while the affair was still going. At N.Fuentes, Elijah kissed Sarah's husband on the temple. This was after the affair. Sarah quit right after N.Fuentes. After the affair ended, Elijah wouldn't shut up about how slutty Catholic girls are in reference to Sarah Stock. He would constantly question her faith, hinting that she had a sexual past. This was around the same time he started pretending to be Orthodox and purchased a big cross to wear everywhere. I do think the husband should know. It's only fair. He thought he was marrying a virgin or something. No refunds. I included another recording of Sarah describing Elijah's relationship with N.Fuentes. Privately, Elijah is disparaging towards Nick and resents anyone who supports him. Publicly, he seethes but is very nervous to get on Nick's bad side. He always wants to give the illusion that he supports Nick and that they are close. But like Sarah's saying in the recording, Elijah is spreading rumors about him privately, claiming that Nick is gay. Unfortunately, this seems to be Elijah's go-to accusations. He has made similar claims about employees that stood up to him, accusing them of secretly being gay. So it's impossible to tell if he says this out of jealousy, insecurity, or because he actually knows something. And below this email is attached 3 MP3s. Okay, so on this page is a transcribed audio recording left by Elijah titled Blackout. Okay, and I'll just say, I'll just say this. I can't make you admit anything, say anything, but I will admit that I am playing a role in this and that it is immature and that it should be dealt with differently. And I will also admit outside of work that, yeah, my personal life, I'm having a hard time. I'm trying different. I'm trying to figure it out, but obviously I am stressed and I'm not dealing with it the way I should be. And I'm not. And it's not always, I'm up, up until 12. Oftentimes, it is the same thing. If I don't drink, that I can't sleep. I can't sleep more than an hour. I'm tossing. I fall asleep at 6, and it's it may look like I was drinking the same thing or not. Do I drink sometimes and too much? Absolutely, I consider myself more like having a binge problem. We're gonna, even if it is only a couple times in a week, it's yeah, I'll black out or whatever. And so that is the problem Okay, so on this page is the transcribed recording of Sarah Stock, and she's talking to someone. And the page is titled, Sarah Admits to Affair. The person who she's speaking to is anonymous. Sarah Stock, take any accountability at all because, obviously was my fault too. What happened between us? But even that was not I don't know. I felt it was he got me very intoxicated. I don't even remember most of it. And I was even thinking back because it was at CPAC, the 2 nights you're there and the second night, I was breaking out in a rash. And so he's get some Benadryl. It'll help with the rash. And now I'm thinking back and I was that's probably why I blacked out because he intentionally gave me Benadryl and send me a bunch of shots and stuff. And obviously it's stupid on my part too, go along with that, but at the same time, it's he's obviously knew what he was doing. Anonymous speaker. So he had it in his mind, Benadryl. What does that just make it increases? The toxicity or something gets you really, yeah. Sarah, mixing drugs like that. Anonymous speaker. When was, what? What was this? CPAC? That was? Sarah, when I first met him in February. Anonymous speaker. Where was he back? I don't even remember this. Oh, that was in DC. Oh, I got you. Yeah, Benadryl for a breakout. Yeah, okay, that's crazy. Yeah, he is. I know how again, I'm saying. Sarah says, I'm not saying I don't have any fault in that. I like it. Definitely, ate me up for a long time. Yeah, I feel very bad about it still. Yeah, but yeah, damn. Anonymous speaker. Yeah, that's, it's tough. And I don't know how you feel about the guy now, but it's it's probably worse that you don't, that you the more that you learn about him and know who he really is. It probably makes the whole thing worse a little bit. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What do you mean? I just don't want anything to do with him. I get you. I totally get you. What? What do you say about his family? Because obviously it's a family and kids. What was his excuse for that though? How would he justify that? Sarah says he was oh, my wife doesn't care. She lets me run run free or whatever. She doesn't care as long as because I take such good care of her and she just lets me be a man and do what I want and blah, 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 blah. He was saying that stuff. Yeah. Anonymous speaker says the wife doesn't care. Wow. Yeah. So he has an open relationship? Huh? That's crazy. Which, I mean, do you have a question that? Or Sarah says, was that's definitely not I realize that's not true, right? But also, at the time, it seems I don't know, just the way he acted and everyone acted around him. They think he would sit around girls and almost seem like that was true. Does that make sense? Yeah. This page is titled Not Telling Husband. And you have two speakers for this one, Sarah and the anonymous male. Sarah, and obviously, I deeply regret that, but also, I'm not a slight, I mean, that's a horrible thing, but it's not I really am sleeping around or have been, so yeah. Anonymous speaker, I mean, you don't have to defend yourself. Yeah, I know. Sarah, but I'm just saying, it's kind of just not even true for anyone who knows me, so. Anonymous speaker, yeah, I mean, you just had a fling with Elijah, and that's, I don't know, I guess he got upset about it. He's just exaggerating, yeah? I mean, did you? I guess you're not going to tell anyone, huh? Or, I guess I was going to ask, would you tell your husband? I guess this is before your husband, right? Sarah, yeah, no, we weren't engaged, okay? But no, I'm not telling anyone, okay? And I was I said, very intoxicated. Anonymous speaker, he said it was a couple of times you were traveling around and maybe in DC and New York and stuff like that. I'm not trying to know. And that's all to that page as well as the transcript. Regarding the divorce. The wife initiated the divorce in Texas. But get this, since he's so scared about losing the quote-unquote trad image, he went and filed for divorce in Florida, the one to initiate it, just so he can go on his show and say, I wanted to divorce my wife because of abuse and mistreatment. Behind the scenes, he's still begging to get back together with her. His new tactic now is to say that everything he was doing to his wife was actually happening to him. So, for example, he's been saying that he's been mistreated and abused for years. He even suggested this on his show this week. He said something like, Mother Bear, what about Daddy Bear? Just weird cringe stuff. Another reason he filed for divorce in Florida is because he has a chance at 50-50 custody of his kids. Kids who he's never shown any attention until his wife asked for a divorce. Now he's trying to get to the kids because it's the only way to the wife. He refuses to acknowledge any wrongdoing at all, denying the affairs and the drinking. His whole thing is I'm a Christian now and I've stopped drinking. How could you divorce me when it's the first time I'm actually changing? He also trying to threaten her back in the relationship. Quote, this is going to bankrupt us. You're under demonic influence. Think about the kids, that sort of stuff. He sent her a fake cease and desist that he made using AI to scare her. It was just crazy, quote, legal jargon. And he added some deadline to rectify the situation. Otherwise, he pressed charges or something. Someone from the company spoke to an investor recently, just giving the guy a heads up. And he's been crashing out lately because of that, making all sorts of allegations against the employee. You can hear him complaining about this on the show and suggesting his life is in danger and that people are trying to kill him, or that the FBI has got to us and that's why we are acting this way. He also started talking about his stolen BMW again, trying to implicate one of his employees, suggesting one of us gave the keys to the thieves or something. I was at his house the night of the crime. He got blackout drunk, had his employee drive him home, and then probably left his keys in the car, which he has done many, many times. And the thieves could have just opened his door and drove off. He was acting so suspicious in the morning when he discovered the car was gone. I even offered to accompany him to another part of the town where he thought it was, but he wouldn't let me, which always made me think that he went to some strip club, left his car there, then Ubered home. Again, keys in the car because he was blackout. It could all be made up. I just think at this point he's trying to hit one of us employees with a felony so that we don't speak out against him. He's already trying to hit us with a cease and desist because we are talking amongst ourselves and sharing stories. He thinks we are going to leak something about Sarah's stock. There have been multiple accusations when he just leave his car unlocked at the office, and I open it and go to his center compartment and find his Glock. Then I message him and be like, dude, there's a gun in your car. Do you know you didn't lock it? I can send you some of the texts, but you can't post them. This is just for context to show how badly he is spiraling at the moment. Text to his wife. The sooner I can divorce you, the better. You and your family are insufferable narcissistic demons, and I hate my kids are exposed to your witchcraft. I cannot fathom why you want to bankrupt the both of us in a bitter court battle unless you are demonically influenced. All I asked for was to see our kids, and you chose to go to war with your ex-husband at the expense of our kids. Nobody will win. Everyone will suffer. May God forgive you and your sins against our children. Them being split between two houses, 1 week with you, 1 week with me, or Saturday, Sunday, and mornings wasn't my ideal idea. Which sucks because we could have had such a peaceful split. They could have stayed in one home and just seen me during the day like I begged and begged for. But you let bad advice control you from day one. Your family is such a destructive force for evil and are making our kids pay for your bitterness. Repent while there is time and reconsider the damage you are about to do to them. You could choose to do what's right still. 9 a.m. tomorrow, you should get 3 legal notices. I get why you're mad at me, but intentionally damaging our children? Kazia, I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name, but that's how I'm pronouncing it today. Kazia, you are at your lowest of low, and no affirmation from your family will change the reality of how much in the wrong you are. Bad company corrupts good character. You are surrounded by foolish adults and acting like a child, and it's not going to stand in court. I wish you had just spoken to me like I requested and had smarter counsel around you. Just glad they aren't advising me. This is going to go so terribly. It's our kids, Kazia. This is all avoidable and so sick. You should get evaluated because you are clearly twisted in the head right now and not thinking straight. If you need a psychiatrist, I will pay for it on our insurance and suggest you seek help. I mean this sincerely. Yes, I'm angry because you're messing with our children in a way that negatively impacts them beyond what is necessary. But I'm not low impulse control and going to knock out your dad or something. I play to win. And you think this is a game? You can still talk to me until 9 a.m. tomorrow. Feel free to call me tonight or right now. We can make this right and not let judges and attorneys decide our access to our children. But that's where we're headed on top of the other court battles in the works. I had a few more things to add about the SS thing that I remember, and I believe SS stands for Sarah Stalk. Bullet point 1. He took the team out for a company get-together when Sarah started and slept with her that night in a hotel in Boca Raton. I remember him desperately wanting to go to the beach that day. He was working out a lot so that he could impress her with his physique. In hindsight, I see this. Bullet point number 2. He would describe her vagina as fishy and smelled like fish. Number 3. He would get very defensive if anyone in the office suggested that Sarah was mid. There was this ongoing conversation where many of the guys would be confused at all the online simping, and he would step in to sing her praises, which was mocked by everyone because she was extremely asexual and childlike. 4. He and Sarah met in New York City one time. I think it was when their talk got canceled and they did Gavin's show. He took her out for some fancy date to give her an example of, quote, how she should be treated, and also dropped a ton of cash on new clothes for her. 5. He her one time when she was on her period and he got some blood infection. I remember him writing about it in the company chat, using it as an excuse, not where he got it from. I wish I saved the screenshot. 6. When he visited LA where Sarah lives, I believe Sarah got her husband to get her an Uber to Elijah's hotel where they slept together. So the husband was paying for that to happen right under his nose. Gross. I believe he was under the impression they were waiting until marriage. 7. Elijah would describe Sarah as, quote, the best he's ever had. 8. Basically, Sarah could get away with doing as little work as she wanted since she was f***ing Elijah. And Elijah would run around bending over backwards to please her. He would be nagging all of us in the office to message her to do work because he didn't have any power over her. 9. Funny. I think his fangirling for N.Fuentes was a huge nuke to their relationship. It made him incredibly jealous because she would always side with Nick over Elijah, even though they were effing. And 10, I believe the only reason he's doing the orthodox grift was because his relationship with Sarah ended. Before that, he was saying he was Catholic to impress her, I guess. But once it ended, he had to switch teams because Catholics are too slutty. I attached some screenshots of him thirsting over college girls. Nothing crazy, but just to prove that I'm not making up. Plus, I added the Instagram of a hooker he in El Salvador. She messaged the company IG asking to be paid. Oh, and he bought some hooker in El Salvador a ton of clothing too from the U.S. and a dildo. So he was like flying out clothing and sex toys to some hooker in a third world country. I think the dildo must have gotten missed because it's the one I found at his house. Something I believe he was using on himself. I'll add more as I continue to remember. So I kind of mentioned this, but I want to impress the point. One thing that is consistent is that women are often repulsed by Elijah. Within minutes of meeting them, he will ask them strange sexual questions like, would you have a problem if your boyfriend/husband got a hand job at a massage place or a lap dance? Something along those lines. And with married women, he is always focused on reminding them how thankful they should be for not working. Husbands provides for them. I found it very inappropriate. That's their relationship. And it's not his business the deal they have. He'd be like, only 10% of women can stay home. You're very lucky. You should be thanking your husband every day. I'm not exaggerating here. All the women who were partners of people in the office were repulsed by Elijah and thought he was gross. Some of them outright hate him. They've been to dinners with Elijah and his wife, and they all say, quote, I feel so sorry for the wife. Every woman has had some issues. It's kind of crazy. And his wife can't be friends with any of them because they'll all hate Elijah and want to stay as far away from him as possible. Even now, his assistant's wife was messaging Elijah, calling him a or something. It's a reoccurring theme. He even tried to come on to a guest girlfriend. This was his buddy's girlfriend, and he was talking all sexual and trying his luck. There's a Ring camera recording of Elijah showing this guy lewds of some woman he's sleeping with. His wife caught him on the camera. She was in Australia with the kids. He started disabling the cameras at the house after that. His excuse to his wife, quote, I was showing lewds of you. Of course it wasn't. I've spent a lot of time around Elijah, and one reason I stopped associating myself with him outside of the office was because he be trying to hit on every woman he came in contact with. He would hit on the real estate agent, the receptionist, the waitress, the bartender, random women at the store. It was gross and embarrassing. You're with this married guy preaching about Christianity and always calling women hoes. But then he's trying to F anything that moves. And also, you know, his wife and kids. Switching topics a bit. He constantly talked about this moment where, quote, God spoke to him on a plane. From what I heard, this was when he was on a plane with to or from El Salvador. And at that time, I was told he had a third pregnancy scare with Sarah Stock. Remember in El Salvador, he's out there effing hookers and binge drinking. He did stop drinking shortly after that. I think it's because he just had too many scares and his wife was hinting at divorce and realized he was screwed. He was scared she wouldn't come back from Australia. It's funny because from what I've heard, he has threatened his wife with divorce many times. You heard part of the recording. In it, he threatens to take the kids. He would use that as a tactic to scare her. You know, she doesn't work. She's been a stay-at-home wife for a while. She has no means to provide, and he leverages that. In fact, he brags about it to everyone. Quote, I know my wife will never leave because I pay for everything, unquote. So I think it was a shock when his wife mentioned the idea to him. He realized the con was up. Same time as the Alexis Wilkins lawsuit. I would suggest watching the last 2 shows he did because he crashed out over this stuff, and this info, I believe he's a compulsive liar. That's not an exaggeration. It's actually incredible dealing with Elijah because he cannot admit to doing wrong ever. Even if you catch him in the act, everyone in the company has a story about this. I have countless. When confronted, he'll gaslight or just keep lying. For example, I confronted him over his investigation with Candace Owens and Max Blumenthal into Charlie Kirk. He claimed he knew everyone at the Hampton meeting. And so I was like, well, tell us. This is huge because not even Candace is saying it. And he was like, I have the full list right here on my phone. Okay, share it. Then he starts listing names, and it's like Emily Xavier, Bill Ackerman. And we are like, no crap, everyone knows that. And then he just make up some BS that Max was going to send the list later and walked off. We confronted him multiple times on the drinking, and he'd be like, I don't even have a problem. And I'd be like, here's your puke. We had to take down a stream, and I had to drive you home and watch you hold your crying 2-year-old while puking at 2 a.m. And he just laugh it off and pretend it never happened. Another thing, you've got to be careful what you say, because if there's even the slightest mistake, he'll fixate on that and make the whole conversation about that instead of the actual issue. So people say, you fled to Australia because you groped a woman. And he'll respond, these people are so stupid. I didn't flee. I actually have a family there. He is a master of weaseling out of things. So when I raised issue about the drinking at work, he started telling the employees that I was a drug addict and also the real alcoholic. When I confronted him, he was like, we are even because you said the same thing. I have recordings of this. This is how his mind works. He will escalate everything. It doesn't matter how. He'll accuse you of effing a minor with no proof. Just make it up to match the allegation on him. In his mind, there is no concept of honesty. A lot of the guys actually think he believes his lies. Like he will reframe reality and then say it so many times that it's true for him. Therefore, he's an impossible person to reason with. I've many times come to him in good faith trying to help. Quote, let me know what you need, how I can help, so you don't have to act this way, etc., unquote. He will then take that conversation, twist it in his head, and then start accusing me of stuff. At some point you realize, oh, he'll never change, despite how helpful or selfish you are. He's soulless. Oh yeah, I was thinking more on Sarah's stock. I was a little hesitant to share the recording because I thought maybe she didn't need to be dragged into this because she's young. But when I listened to her explanation, I realized she has no remorse at all. She has no issue keeping that a secret and ruining her husband's life. She didn't even sound upset or regretful. She had no regard for the wife, and she wanted to encourage Elijah to leave his wife. That on top of the Catholic girl thing makes my skin crawl. How can you be so nonchalant about f***ing a married man while in the process of marrying another? Does that not weigh on her soul? I guess not enough to come clean. It's probably happened a ton of times. I heard she tried to f*** Kevin Prosobic too. Can't confirm if it happened, but that's a rumor too. She certainly tried her best. Then thinking back, I remember she worked for Seth Dillon, and apparently he was in love with her too. He was always hitting her up on the phone. I wouldn't be surprised if they also slept together. I have thought about telling the husband, but then I wondered if he even cared. He'll probably believe whatever she says. Quote, I got drunk and it was a one-off, unquote. All these guys are such cucks. It's impossible to know how they react. Like Sarah is mid. She's not even attractive. Elijah would bend over backwards to impress her and look after her, and she wouldn't even show any gratitude. It's hilarious, actually. The one thing is, for all his sexual exploits, he has zero game. I think he's just so forward and drunk that some other freak would eventually come through. Or his political clout would help. But talking to women, dude is a nerd. A gross nerd. Within 10 minutes bringing up sexual stuff, I've been told by multiple people that he would scare away the girls in the club. They didn't want to be around him because he was so creepy. That's why he's going to a third world country. He could pay for sex in privacy, and even then, he's still a simp. Another thing, he doesn't have any friends, or should I say people are only there for the small favors he can offer. It's impossible to have a friendship with him because he's not interested in anything outside of himself. So having a casual conversation is insufferable. It's him talking at you for an hour and saying, damn, that's crazy. He doesn't listen to anything anyone says and can't have a back and forth conversation. He gets jealous if he's not the center of attention. No one can be funnier or more interesting. He will talk over them or just go on his phone until he makes everyone uncomfortable. You can't make fun of him. I remember with him one time when he was exaggerating something and he got so aggressive. He said something like, you ruined everything. You should just die. So like a teenage girl, all because he was the butt of the joke. It's artistic. And on top of that, he's like the least interesting person I've ever met. I've never had a fun time with him. You are just there to watch him perform. He needs an audience. You're like the extra in his movie. I remember trying to speak with a guest who I found interesting, and before they could answer, he would be speaking over them and changing the subject to something about him. I realized I couldn't even talk to someone else around him. If he gets the notion that you're enjoying a conversation, he has to interrupt. The guys that hung around him were being paid, so all the social gatherings are described as work meetings, quote unquote. That way, the employees feel obligated to hang around him. He had taken employees away from work to run errands with him, or gym, or babysit, or listen to his therapy sessions, or drive him to the airport, or go to Costco. Just like tasks he doesn't want to do alone, or something maybe a friend would tolerate, but he has none, so it's someone being paid to tolerate him. And if you have the misfortune to accompany him on one of these outings, he'll drag it out and waste time to keep you around, making it as long and complicated as possible. And he'll treat you like his assistant. And on top of that, he's talking at you for hours, looping on the Jews or whatever drama he's dealing with. And when he senses your patience wearing thin, he will hit you with some sob story about how he was molested as a child or had no friends, or that he doesn't understand why everyone leaves him. This was like our biggest frustration with the show. He couldn't have a conversation with a guest. He didn't care. He's so self-consumed that he couldn't even interview someone without making it about him. You have like a guest and he's bitching about his stolen BMW or getting fired or his wife not sleeping with him. I remember writing scripts for him and he'll read one line then start ranting about the most uninteresting topics. And I'd be like, I spent 2 hours writing that. You told me it was perfect. Don't even ask me to write again. It's a waste of time. His response was like, maybe we should get an earpiece so you can tell me everything I should say. He was serious. That's what the script is for. The only solution to him not following procedures is more work for everyone else. An example, he hired a chief of staff because he couldn't get me to sign an NDA. He hired a full-time employee to somehow get me to sign an NDA and manage me. The guy was like an ex-firefighter or something, just a random dude off Twitter. This is at a time when we are in the red. We have no money left, and I'm sounding the alarm that we need to get together. Elijah hires a full-time employee, paying him more than everyone else, probably, to manage me, while we are desperately trying to get Elijah to stop crashing out online and produce one good show. He just needed another friend who was gullible to believe everyone else was the problem and not him. This is what he constantly does. As soon as people start to catch on to his con, he brings in new people and makes up some story about how he's the victim and then kicks everyone else out. Rinse and repeat. Quote, the company failed because my team was useless and the FBI is targeting me. I don't know why everyone hates me. I've done nothing wrong. I do so much for those people and this is how they treat me, unquote. Page 19. He's in Virginia right now threatening to go to agencies and make these accusations. I don't know if he's bluffing or what, but it's pretty crazy stuff. Oh, and he's been threatening to go to the FBI to implicate his wife's family, plus some people from the company. Because he got his BMW stolen, I told you how that happened. He is so desperate, he'll literally falsify police reports just to get me to stop speaking. This couldn't come out sooner. I'm for sure going to catch some type of suit, but it. So the next page shows some text messages. I'm assuming this is through phone. And I'm just going to basically leave this here. I'm not even going to read this. You guys can pause the video if you want to read these screenshots. And this is the last one here as well. So if you want to read it, feel free to pause it. And this is the last page. I know this on account of a few things. Number 1, Elijah has a big mouth and blabs to everyone. Secondly, all the employees hate him and felt over because he lied and has left them in a really crappy situation. And so they have told me the gaps I didn't know. They have NDAs, so I can't make that public, and they are super worried about retaliation. Thirdly, I have sought out this info ever since I realized he was trying to gas me over the NDA. Fourth, I have a connection to his wife's family. You have to understand lines between work and personal lives were very thin. Regarding the wife, she is scared and worried about the custody of her children. He will attack her for anything that comes out. He will try to sue me for sure, But if it's related to the divorce, he'll get nasty with her and do everything to her over and the kids. The only thing she cares about is full custody, to see him as little as possible, and no one trusts that guy with kids. So we can't let that happen. I'm also concerned about that. If she loses custody, those children are done. It's over, and the trust people have placed in me will be for nothing. I don't want it to be about that right now. He has called the police on his wife and is threatening to make FBI complaints. So I don't know if the wife would speak. Then again, she has a public Instagram, but she is very scared and worried at the moment. If it goes to court, I don't want the judge to consider what I'm doing as interference or meddling on behalf of the wife. I'm doing this because Elijah is evil and it's a moral responsibility. But the lawyers will argue different. I wouldn't mind if you shared it with Kosh or Alexis, but I don't want to be dragged in for questioning and everything I say put under a microscope. Not that I tell you anything I don't believe to be true, but without evidence, I could get blasted for defamation. I'm the only one willing to speak out, and while others may support me, they have NDAs and want to stay out of it. They are just not the type of people to get involved. He scares people. He gets so nasty, and while I don't care about my reputation in media anymore, they still want to work in the space. If Cash and Alexis want to give me legal protection, I'll tell them everything. I'll testify. I just don't have money or time to deal with lawyers and suits against me. Elijah is already trying to make it so I can never enter the country again. And that's something that I want to avoid. You are right. If you put it to Elijah, he'll spur, but he'll know exactly who spoke to you and then go full in attack mode. So that's why I got the recording, so it wouldn't be me alleging, but Sarah confessing. I was hoping they would fight it out and leave me out of it, at least initially. You have to be careful about the stuff you press him on, because I told you stuff from NDA people too, and friends close to him. If it's only the stuff that I witnessed and know Sarah Stock, go for it. But I did give my word to not drag the others. Basically, if it all falls on me, I don't care. That's the risk I'll take. Just don't want the employees or wife to be further threatened and harassed with legal stuff. You can go crazy with the Sarah stuff. That can all be explained on my side without implicating anyone. Even if you just asked him about Sarah, he would freak. If you made an allegation with to proof, he'd dig himself the most insane hole and make up such an amazing story that when you presented him with the evidence, he'll look like a fool. Hold on, I think the first sentence meant to say, I think it's a mistype, and he meant to say, if you made an allegation with no proof, he'd dig himself the most insane hole. I think that's what he meant to say, and he put to instead. Okay, the next sentence. If you let me know what details you're going to press him on, I can tell you if it's NDA or my testimony. Also, there's a lot of hints he gives off in his show that could be just you figuring it out. He mentioned divorce a few times and friends f***ing him over. If you are paying attention, he's not subtle at all. And there you have it, taters. That concludes the leaks. So this is still going on. As of right now, Elijah just came back to Twitter after being gone for 2 days, and he's still picking a fight with Milo, and I'm telling you, that was the worst mistake he could have made. So expect more leaks like this to be released, but at least we have the foundation set in stone. Let me know what you think about all this chaos. Anyway, this is Tree. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Later, taters.